name is Frida, Free Knit. I want to teach you how to knit a scarf like this one. Let me show you how to wear it. This is how you wear the scarf. As you can see, it is a knit scarf that can be used while you are at your office working. You can still use it while attending social functions like going to church. It can still be used by the school-going children while going to school early in the morning. The first step towards knitting, what you need is a pair of knitting needles. These are the knitting needles. And this is another pair. You need just a pair. These knitting needles are 4.5 millimeters in thickness. Even these, they are 4.5 millimeters. So the first step is that you choose the knitting needles, and the knitting needles that you choose depend on the kind of yarn that you purpose to use. I've chosen this yarn. This is what I mostly use because it is ideal for my client and it will end up giving you a neat scarf. Choose also your favorite color. This time I want to teach you using red because red is what my client is interested in, and I also love red. It is a bright color and it can be ideal for many occasions. So the first step after you get your yarn and the knitting needle is you cast on. Casting on means making the first step, the first stitch towards knitting, and this is how you go about it. You make a loop using your left hand like this. You make a loop like this. This is the first step and it is our first stitch. You can see it. After you make the first stitch, by making that loop, you put one of the needles there and then you stretch so that you tighten the stitch. After making the first stitch, this is our first stitch. The second step is to make the second stitch, and this is how you do it. You insert the second needle, then you wrap the yarn like that, and then you pull backwards. You pull the yarn the other side, and then you knit that way. You pull the yarn backwards again. Now I have 2 stitches. I will want to have another stitch this way. I'll put the yarn from this side, then wrap the yarn to the needle and then turn and then knit this way. Now I have 3 stitches. So I'll keep adding the stitches, and the process of adding is the same. It is repetitive but the same. You put the needle that way, wrap the yarn and pull backwards that way, and then turn the yarn that side and knit that way. Knitting is putting the needle that way, and then you wrap the yarn and pull back. So as you can see, I am adding a new stitch at the beginning because my target is to have an end like this. I'm targeting to have an head like this, starting with one, adding the stitches to make this shape. Our next step is to separate or to make this pattern that is here, to have that that shape. So this is how you go about it, so that you can make this pattern that is here. This is how you go about it. You need to have a darned knitting needle. This is a separate one, so that you knit using the second needle, and then you pick one stitch and have it put in the third needle. You knit like that and you separate the next one. So you have to balance holding the 3 needles, because that is where the pattern, how you'll get the pattern that is you're intending to have. So using your right hand, you balance holding the third needle, because it is the third needle that is helping you to separate the stitches. So you can see this, it is taking shape, and what I have now is that half of the stitches are held in this needle and this other half are held on this other needle, and that is the beginning of this pattern that we have here, and I'll show you how to make it. You can see there's a space here, so I'll show you how to make it. After you have separated, you then knit one side this way, you can see there is progress. You can see what we have now. And you can see this other side, the second set of our stitches is still down there. So the second step is to start knitting this the other set of our knitting stitches. So you have this thread, you start knitting it this way. You put the needle, then you start knitting. That way. So at this stage, you can first add 2 stitches at this stage. So this is where I am in my work. I want to add a stitch this side and another stitch this other side, and then I start knitting without adding any more stitches. And the reason for adding this stitch is to give my scarf some width. This other side we wanted this flower, and now we've got it, this flower looking head, and we've got it. So there is need to widen the scarf. You add a stitch, and this is how you add it. You put your needle and then wrap the yarn and pull backwards like that. So then you knit by wrapping the yarn and pulling backward. You wrap the yarn upwards and pull, wrap and pull backwards. That is how you knit. So knitting takes a lot of patience, but it is a good way of spending your leisure time. So I just love knitting, and I know you too will love knitting. So continue knitting. I don't have to add any more stitches because the width is ideal for my scarf. This is the progress for our work. We are almost through. The last step towards knitting this scarf is we want to knit this end. This is the edge that you want to knit, and like we separated the stitches this side, we want to have a similar heading for our work. So we separate the stitches. You will use a third needle that way. You knit this side, the other one you separate in the third needle. I will then knit this row and knit the second row independently. So at this point, you can see this is of sizable length. So I'm supposed to stop knitting that side and get the second stretch of our stitches. So I want to knit the second stretch, yeah, that way. At this point, these stitches are now of the same length with this other set of stitches, so we want to bring them back on one knitting needle so that we can operate with two needles. If you can, but allow me to explain that if you can look at the entire scarf, you'll see that there is these knitting patterns and this pattern. So this pattern that is formed here is called stockinette pattern, and this other pattern that is forming the bigger part of the scarf is called garter pattern. So we want to put the stitches in one knitting needle, and this is how you do it. You knit one from this needle and then knit another one from the next one, this way, balancing the needles with your left hand side. That is how you do it. One this side, one the other side. You knit one the other side, one this side and one the other side. Just knit one and one the other side, one and the other side, that way. Yeah, so you can see that's the progress for our job. Now I will do the rest of knitting with the two needles, and using this one. We are here now. The only remaining bit is the last part of our scarf. You can see this scarf. Sorry. You can compare and see the progress that we made. So we want to knit the very last bit for our scarf. This point. This is where we are now. So we want to make a few rows, these ones here, and then complete the scarf. So I'm in my last stage of knitting this scarf, and I now want to make this last shape, and I'll do it by decreasing the number of stitches, reducing the number of stitches this way. So here, instead of knitting one stitch, I will knit 2 stitches as I begin, because I want my scarf to be shaped, to have that shape. Then as I begin, I'll take 2 stitches and knit them together that way. As I begin a new row, I pick 2 stitches again and knit them together. So you can see at this stage my scarf is taking shape, and I am reducing the number of stitches from the initial 28 stitches. Now they are reducing, and as I explained earlier, I am reducing them by picking 2 stitches and knitting them together as I begin knitting a row. So that way. I'm casting off the number of stitches are decreasing. I now have 3 stitches, and that at this stage I can cast off completely by knitting the 3 stitches together like that, I have 1 stitch now, and I have casted off carefully. Sorry, like that. So I am through. I need now to take a pair of scissors and then separate the yarn from my scarf, and then tighten properly. Tighten, yes. So that is the scarf, and then I can trim it further like that. I trim this the end where I began. I also trim it like that, and you can see now my scarf is ready. My red scarf is ready. So that's my scarf.
Okay.
As you can see, my scarf is ready, but to make it neater, I will put a needle. Sorry. Oh, now a needle.
Okay, endelea tuanza tena.
You can see my scarf is ready. I know my client will be happy. But to make it neater, I want to add some decoration here. This is just an ordinary button, the one that I'll put here. Yes, so I take my button and carefully have it fixed here using an ordinary needle. So my scarf is ready. Here you are.
Oh, hiyo bado ni deco tu haina.
Yeah, so that's my scarf. I hope you've followed the steps and you can be able to make such a scarf. Thank you.